Nell'episodio precedente abbiamo ascoltato varie interviste al pilota di F-18 Ryan Graves. Ryan Graves era di stanza a bordo della USS Roosevelt, nell'Oceano Atlantico. Il suo team di piloti ha avvistato degli UFO che avevano forme, dimensioni e comportamenti diversi rispetto a quelli del 2004 registrati dal Nimitz Strike Group. In questo episodio vedremo un avvistamento molto recente, da un pilota civile, il capitano Erik Delgado, il 19 marzo del 2020. Il capitano Delgado è un veterano della US Air Force, ex pilota di tanker, cioè gli aerei cisterna che volano per ore a disposizione dei caccia per rifornirsi in volo. Da quando ha terminato la carriera militare, ha trovato lavoro come pilota di aerei cargo per FedEx e proprio durante uno di questi voli ha avvistato e filmato con il suo cellulare, insieme al suo copilota, un UFO. Vedremo anche che l'incontro è durato parecchio tempo. Il video è molto interessante e anche di buona qualità per essere girato da un cellulare.
Flying with my first officer, who I'll call John, and so John and I were fortunate enough to fly the whole month together, which is a rare occurrence in my current profession. You'll fly a month's worth of trips and maybe fly with the same guy twice. You know, and so this month he and I drew Toluca and Querétaro, both Mexican destinations in our bid, and he was on probation at the time. So, and we're flying the whole month together. And so I said, hey, I'll show you all the cool places to go on layovers, and if you have any questions on operations, hey, now's your time. I always open myself up to these new guys because it's like, look, the more questions you ask and don't sit there and think you know everything, the better captain you're going to be. He and I had a really good rapport throughout the whole month. We're getting along really well. And it was my leg that night going from Querétaro, Mexico to back to Memphis. And we had just had a 36-hour layover in QRO in Querétaro. Oh, it was gorgeous. It was great. I missed those trips. Anyway, and so we had picked our way through some weather on the climb to flight level 370 and got through that portion of it. And in the distance, I could see other weather that probably in about 10 or 15 minutes we were going to have to deal with. And let me just throw this in there as well. About that time on my TCAS, I saw another aircraft 2,000 feet below us on a converging path. And I knew that was another flight. I knew the captain. Actually, I knew the crew on that flight. I had seen them 2 days prior in Toluca. We all had dinner. And one of the things we mentioned, I go, hey, we're going to take off at this time. We're flight 82. He goes, yeah, we're 54. And I go, okay. If I happen to see you guys out there or hear, let's go fingers on the secondary radios. Caribbean Common fingers 123.45. And, we'll have a conversation or whatever. Yeah, no problem. So I see this guy on TCAS. And I go up to Caribbean Common. It took about 2 or 3 calls on the open radio on the VHF, and he answers me. And so he's retired. He retired last year. So he and I are having this conversation, and he first thing he said was like, "Hey, that weather, to your left." He goes, "Are you guys? How's your ride?" And that's how good these systems are. The aircraft on the nav display, and I think you can see them as far out as like 80 miles, if I'm not mistaken. And he was like, I see you guys are approaching this storm. He goes, what's the weather like? I'm like, dude, don't even worry about it. We're not even, it's like occasional light chop, not even full light turbulence. And the closest we're going to get to this thing is like maybe, 30, 40 miles. You guys would be well clear of it by the time we converge, our paths converge. And we were all headed for the same entry point, which is near Brownsville, Texas, MAM, the VORTAC. So we're on this converging path. We picked our way through the weather. It wasn't going to be an issue. I turned on the cockpit lights full bright, the thunderstorm switch, if you know, what have you, and proceed to eat my catering. I'm having a conversation with my first officer, and I'm like, hey, next, we're flying again in about another 10 days. I go, we're going to have a weekend in Toluca. I'll show you around, and if you're interested, maybe if the weather's good. I've always wanted to go to Teotihuacan and go to the pyramid complex. If the weather's good, let's try to do that. Are you interested? And he's like, yeah, we're, talking about what we're going to do. And just about that time, I see his eyes kind of move to the right, and they get about, big. His eyes open up wide, and he's like, oh, look at the shooting star. And he stops, and, right there, he didn't get the word star out. And I'm looking at him going, what the hell's wrong with this kid? You know, what's he looking at? And he's not a kid. You know, the guy did 20 years as an F-15, I think, pilot in the Air Force. So he did a full 20. Experienced guy as well. Anyway, so I'm looking at him going, what's he looking at, you know? And I turned and I look over my shoulder, kind of, his eyes were telegraphing where he was looking. So I look over my left shoulder, and all of a sudden I looked up at probably about a 30-degree angle. It's like right there, man. It had to have been a few thousand feet away from us. And I was like, oh my God, it's another aircraft. And, you know, he's got a vector and he's turning into us, and my heart's racing because I had an RA a few months prior on the East Coast of Florida. And those things will get your heart pumping. Even right now, my heart's starting to elevate.
What's an RA?
I'm sorry. Resolution advisory. Basically, the traffic alert and collision avoidance systems on our airplanes will deconflict you. And if you're within 45 seconds to a minute of imminent collision, you'll get a caution. You know, proximity traffic. Then it goes to yellow caution, and then a red, hey, do something. And it's telling you what to do. It screams at you. So here I am going, oh my God, it's another airplane. The reason I thought that is I look out at just like in the video. If you can imagine a lighthouse in some thin fog as it's rotating, and you see the light going, you know, across the horizon. This thing gets a light on. It hits the nose of the aircraft, flashes through the cockpit windows, and it kind of runs down the fuselage of the airplane. And at this point, I drop whatever it was I was eating. I grab the throttles, I grab the yoke, and getting ready to disconnect them. I'm looking down at my instruments. I'm looking for, you know, commands of to descend. I'm expecting to hear oral, you know, traffic, descend now. You know, the whole system will work in concert to avoid a collision, because that's what I thought was happening. I thought an airplane was, you know, turning into us, and my heart's racing, and I look in my nav display and there's nothing. I mean, nothing. And I'm like, what? And so I take the range down to minimum, which is, you go to minimum, it's like the whole entire screen is 5 miles, and you know, it puts us in the center, obviously, every time. It's just the range changes, and there's nothing there, you know. And we'll even get commands in the HUD, and there's nothing in the HUD. And my heart's racing, and I'm like, look at this clown, he's turning into us. And I remember saying that to him, and I said, turn out the thunderstorm light, you know, because I didn't know what the hell was going on. And so he turns the light off, and I'm still on, you know, because I didn't want to touch anything else other than the yoke and the throttles, man. That's it.
You know, I'm guessing once you turn up that thunderstorm lights, and then you have the lights on, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to take, and even the instrumentation, it takes a few minutes for the light emitting diodes that receive the ambient lighting to make the self adjustment. It's going to take a little while. It really, you know, it's not very quick.
Yeah. So I guess when the co-pilot, when you see his eyes just light up, and he kind of looks off to the side, and his eyes light up, it must have been very bright.
Yeah, it was, if you probably stared at it for longer than a few seconds, you would probably have a burn in your retina for a little while, kind of like looking at the sun for a little bit and then turning away. It was extremely bright, which is, you know, and then it's moving, and I was like, oh my God, you know, we're going to have an imminent collision. And so up to this point, I'm thinking this is another aircraft, and there was no excitement other than, oh my God, you know, look at this clown, you know, he's turning into us. Is this guy for real? I think I said that. And then, you know, a few minutes go by, and the orb kind of backs off a little bit distance wise, and then it kind of starts sliding aft real slow, almost like a lead change, you know, like we used to do in when we used to fly what we called cell formation. You pass the lead to the next guy, and so the flight lead is gonna, you know, pull his power and slowly slide back and let the other guy take in, you know, and move into position. That's kind of the movement this thing was doing. And then it parked itself off our left wingtip, and it was about that time. It took me like about 3 minutes to get to my senses. Like, am I looking at what I think I'm looking at? And at that point, I'm like, okay, I need to paint this guy on radar. Is this real? And he was out of it. I waited too long. Again, I thought it was an airplane, and he was out of my cone. We've got about 170-degree cone in front of the airplane where the radar can look out. I mean, it's a pretty wide cone. And he was out of that because now he was at my 9 to 8 o'clock. And I'm like, and I was told from some of the people that interviewed me over, because I've done several interviews, that this plasma ball of light, whatever, that somehow they're able even to foil radar. And all I said was, well, that's probably true. I wouldn't know because this is my first experience with it, but I would have liked the opportunity to paint this guy, because even with a color weather radar, I can paint other airplanes. That's how good the radar is on this airplane.
Oh, excellent. Okay, yeah.
But it was too late. Yeah, he was out of my field of view at that point. And because like I said, I was waiting for this TCAS to scream at me to descend and, decelerate and turn away from whatever the imminent collision we were about to have. But it never happened. It never screamed. It never talked. We never had the visual cues either. And at that point, I'm getting excited. I'm thinking, am I looking at what I think I'm looking at? Where's my camera? So I dive into my bag and I pull out my Samsung 9S I had at the time. Fantastic camera on that phone. And I started rolling the video. And that was the long video I had, the initial one. And I explained to people, they're like, yeah, you sent us all your clips and video stills and clips. He goes, what's going on there? And I said, yeah. Let me explain. I initially shot a video that was almost 5 minutes long. And then we lost this thing in the weather. So we thought it was gone. So I stopped recording. And then he and I were talking, and I'm trying to send him, he had an iPhone. I have my Samsung. I'm trying to send him the stuff. It's too big. It won't do it. I'm like, dude, we'll have to wait till we land, and maybe I can Google it to you or something. And, we're looking at the video and oh, that was the other thing. So we're looking at the video, the replay, and we're seeing features, and we're like, look at this, look, this is awesome. Because up until that point, with your naked eye, it just was bright, dim, and it was very cyclic. And that's all you could see. But as I was holding the camera every now and then, that was the other thing too. The camera kind of moves. That wasn't turbulence. I mean, we were in pretty smooth air. It was me, every now and then looking with my eyeball and I would, I was moving the camera. This thing was part, Chris. It was solid. It was like in formation with us. I guess popped out of hyperspace or, another dimension, whatever. I don't think it knew we were there either. And that's why it rotated, because you couldn't distinguish the front or the aft of this vehicle. Whatever it was, it was just a bright ball of light. Bright, dim. It wasn't until I'm looking through the lens of the camera as I'm filming it, or when I replay it, that we start to see a teardrop shape. And that's kind of what I was saying in that video. My sensors are picking up something. What's that? And it rotated. And it's showing its light over the nose of the airplane, ran it all the way down the fuselage. And again, the light was bright enough that it entered the cockpit too, which is why I thought it was another airplane in its landing lights with a vector towards us. Because as you know, Chris, being a pilot, as you approach the terminal environment and go to land on a runway, and you're following a guy, and if you got like little atmospheric anomalies out there, whether it be fog or low scattered clouds, as he's making that turn to final, you're going to see his lights are telegraphing what the airplane's doing. It's turning, exactly. So in my mind, this guy had a vector and was coming right at us. And I just, man, it sent a chill up my spine. So I tell you, the first 3 minutes of that thing, my heart was racing. I was scared. It wasn't until I started filming, and then I'm realizing what's going on, and then it turned to excitement. And that's what you hear in the voice, Like I said, we lost it in the weather. And then when we popped out on the other side of the weather, because, even though we were 40 miles from the core of this thunderstorm, we were going through some scattered cirrus clouds, but they were thick enough that we lost it. And so we came out the other side. We're looking at the video. We're talking about, like, hey, when we land, give me a copy of that. And I'm like, dude, you were a fighter pilot. You guys had more pattern recognition training than we did. What was that? He goes, I don't know. He goes, two things. One, I don't know what it was. And two, I want to copy that video.
Same idea, the same impression on it. That it was just totally anomalous.
Yeah, it was. There were no wings, no tail, no fuselage, empennage, no nav light, beacon light, strobe lights, no contrails, no sound. And I mean, that was probably as stealthy as it was going to be, because obviously it was bright, but you couldn't hear anything. You couldn't see any contrails. You didn't know where it was going and where it was coming, because it was just a bright light flashing bright, then same pattern, same cycle. It never wavered. You could see it. So as we're talking about this, we come out the weather on the other side. I just casually looked over my shoulder and I'm like, oh man, he's still there. He's still there. Boom. I shut the light off again and I roll another video clip.
Radar directed to our left? Not really. Looks like he's going further away, man. Yeah, I'm zooming in and he's pulling away, dude. And he's turning colors too. He's pulling away. Yeah, that was weird.
You went into the weather, you couldn't see it anymore?
No, he couldn't see it anymore, and that's why I panned in, and all the investigators told me, dude, he goes, thank you for doing that. You had the presence of mind to show your instrumentation. So I kind of I panned back in at the end of the video clip, and I had zoomed in a little bit. So now I backed out the zoom, and I'm like, okay, there's our airplane, you know, and I'm explaining, you know, to the video, because I figured, man, I got to show this to my wife. She's gonna freak, you know. As it was, I was freaking out. Everybody's freaking out, and I'm gonna show my buddies when I land back at home drome.
And you're trying on a radar. You paint this thing, right?
No, it never got in front of us. So I think this guy knew we had some kind of what do you want to call it? We were spitting electrons out the front of the airplane, if you will. This thing must have known that, and it wasn't going to go in front of us again. There was like no way, no chance in hell. And I told this to some of the investigators. I said, thing popped out of hyperspace, sat there, obviously showing a light on us, like, what the hell is this? I mean, I'm sure we probably stunned him as much as we were stunned, you know? And then after like 3 minutes, it realized, oh, I need to get out of this guy's field of view a bit, whatever it is that's, you know, and then, because our radar is good enough that I can section 1,000-foot increments in front of me. So it'll tell me exactly my flight level. And the reason they do this, they want to know, are we going to clear that weather or not? This radar is, bar none, the best radar I've ever had. Even in the military, we had what was called fan and pencil. And this thing, the pencil on it is so accurate, it'll section, and it'll tell you too, flight level, whatever you're looking at. It'll say, okay, you want to look down, you go down in it, and you put it in that mode, and it'll tell you, you're looking at flight level 200. This is what's in front of you at this distance you have on the radar. I mean, the thing is incredible. You know?
Yeah, and so what you see over there on the screen there, so I guess this is the weather.
Okay, yeah. So look at the screen. Right now, I'm in the full mode. I'm not in flight level mode. If you look to the left, you'll see the weather there.
Yep.
Notice how the green is kind of like hashed. Anything that's hashed on a weather return is telling you, I'm below your altitude. I am below your altitude. I'm not a threat. Anything solid is now going to present itself without any hash marks like that yellow and red. That is either at or above your altitude. Watch out.
And that shows how far to the left it can see, right? Because off your nose, it looks like a little bit past 90 degrees.
Well, as it sweeps from left to right, it's a 170-degree cone in front. It's that steep. I mean, 170 degrees is pretty good.
Yeah, so almost 90 degrees on both sides.
Either side, almost, absolutely. Yeah. This thing was no longer in that field of view where I could have painted a metallic object to try and get a reflection off it, to know, hey, is this another airframe? I mean, what the hell am I looking at? So I'm running the second clip. My FO's like, all right, stop it. You know, so that's why that clip was only like a minute and a half long, because he wanted me to send it to him. So I stopped the clip, and as I stopped it, I'm like, hold on, I'm going to take some still pictures. So I took 9 still photographs of this thing. Okay. And then I go, okay, I'm going to run another. Oh, I tried to send him the video then real quick, and it was still too big. I'm like, oh, dude, I need to run 2 more video clips. So then I ran 2 more. One was like 45 seconds, and one was 30 seconds. And I was able to send those to him cross cockpit. And then obviously that was at the end of the encounter. Now, from start to finish, it was about 25 minutes. This thing hung with us for a long time, and so fast forward here as we're approaching the U.S. airspace, the ADIS. The first officer's like, "Hey, Captain Delgado." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he goes, "Are you gonna report this?" And I kind of look over. I knew where he was going with it, and I'm like, "Well, it depends why." And he goes, "Hey, man, I'm on probation. I just want to stay out of it. You know, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I got a great career. I'm hoping to have a great career like you, and I'd rather not have anything to do with this." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, don't worry about it." I go, "But I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal." I go, "We're approaching the Reynosa-Harlingen border, you know, near Matamoros, the entry point." I said, "If this thing follows us in the U.S. airspace, we're going to be talking to Easton Staring here in a second. I'm going to ask Easton if he can paint him." And dude, if the controller talks back and we're talking through this. I'm going to have to file some paperwork if this guy follows us into U.S. airspace. If not, like, we'll just let it be, okay? And I kid you not, a few minutes prior to entering the airspace, that's the last video clip. This thing started changing colors, and then it...
I'll do a 30-second one, all right?
Yeah.
It's turning colors now. Are there any clouds over there? I didn't see any.
Took off. I saw it leave. So he saw it enter, and I saw it leave. And it probably left as fast as he saw it came in. I'm guessing. I don't know for a fact, because, again, I didn't see it drop out of hyperspace or whatever. And then the encounter was over. And I was like, that's SOB, man. He knew where the U.S. airspace was. He probably knew where the Houston Center radar coverage was. Gone. A few minutes later, we got a radio transfer from Monterrey Center to Houston Center, and I didn't say a word. I looked at him like, all right, dude, that's the deal we made. I'm not going to report anything. And so the only reason people found out about it is I landed back in Memphis, and I saw some buddies. I said, come here, man, I need to show you something. And I showed them all my photos and clips, and everybody was flabbergasted. They're like, oh, my God. And this one guy, Mark, or friend of mine, a good dude. He was like, Eric, you got to file a report, man. And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it. I told him, I said, look, I made a deal with him, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it. And so he's like, hey, do you mind? Can you send me what you can? And you mind if I post it on my Facebook page? I'm like, yeah, I'm not on social media, by the way. I think I'm in LinkedIn, and that's it. And that was years ago. And I hardly look at it. But anyway, I go, yeah, man, knock yourself out, do what you want to do. So he posts it on his Facebook page, and then some of his buddies, other pilot buddies, I don't know, because this guy was ex-Navy, take it, and then some dude throws it on the internet, and then apparently this thing went viral or whatever, I guess, whatever that means. I guess it gets a lot of hits or whatever. And I was like, whatever. And so 10 days later, here I am in that weekend in Toluca with my same first officer, and we're recounting the whole thing. We're showing some guys at where we went out to dinner with another crew. We're like, hey man, look at this, this is what we saw. And that night I get a text from Mark, and he's like, Eric, man, you got to file a report. And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not doing it. I told you I'm not doing it. And he goes, no, not with the FAA, man. He goes, with MUFON. And I'm like, MUFON, who's that? And he goes, and he's a member. I didn't know he was a member. It's a Mutual UFO Network. Dude, you need to take credit for what you saw. You need to put it out there. I said, okay. I'll do that. So he sends me the link on the text, and I file a report that weekend, and I upload all my stuff from Toluca, Mexico into their database. And 2 weeks later, I get a call from Bob Sparing, who at the time was one of their lead investigators. Now he got promoted, and he runs like their international operation. He's a pretty big wig in that whole organization. Now, Bob Sparing, great guy. I was just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And this is for the world. Take a look at the video. Like I said, form your own opinions. He and I were not there to try and punk anybody. We're just two, airline pilots, two ex-military guys trying to make a living. And we happened to witness this incredible phenomena that to this day, I mean, just talking to you about it, Chris, I'm almost shaking, the hair standing up on my arms. I mean, it was incredible, man. I got home, and I didn't even go to sleep. Next to my wife, it took me like 3 hours to go to sleep, man. I got home probably about 2 a.m, and I didn't knock out till like 5 a.m. It was 3 hours. I was just, I went to my our little media room, if you call it, and I had just bought a new Samsung TV, and I went mirror image, what do they call it, to screen mirroring, and I threw the video up on my 60-inch deal, and I'm looking at this thing going, oh my God, and it took me like 3 hours. I was on cloud 9 for about 3 days, and then I kind of just got back to normal. Even my wife was amazed. Somebody or it was a hoax. Go out there and put it out there. And these experts and the equipment these guys have, maybe we'll learn something. Maybe we can help each other out, right? You never know.
No, that's the whole point. We're after it. So thank you so much, Eric.
I'm gonna tell you, shooting star, but then it stopped, huh? Yeah, let me zoom in, man. It's like an orb, man. Look at that shit. It's pulsating. Oh, this is awesome. And he's not on TCAS, man. Huh. Well, I can tell Rita now. That's interesting. That is, dude. That is shit hot. Platillos, platillos. He's a pulsating orb. Look at that, dude. Look at that. Turn on the tail light. Oh, it is on. Okay, cool. Never mind. Oh man, look at that thing, dude. Flip the TCAS switch up and see if you see anything on the display on the ND. Anything? Any TCAS returns? No. Okay, flip the switch down. He's definitely above our altitude. Yeah, that man. This guy is not reporting TCAS. That is a unidentified flying object, bro. I can finally say I saw one now. That is cool. And it's pulsating too, man. That is nuts. Oh, I wish you would get closer. I can't believe you saw it. What's on the map below us? What city? Is it Monterrey?
We're over
So the nearest, because they tend to congregate around Monterrey. They'll get a lot of. Yeah, we're close. How close to Monterrey? We're about 150 miles from Monterrey. Oh man, that is phenomenal, dude! I'm so glad you saw that, and you saw it drop out of the sky and just stop.
I thought it was a shooting star. Let it just stop.
This is awesome, man. Oh, this is fucking cool. I had to call my brother-in-law. He lives in Puebla.
I mean, there's nothing flashing that I can see on it when you put
No,
the video.
but
Like,
look how it pulses, though.
I know.
Here, let me zoom in. Jeez, man, that is freaky, man.
Crazy. You think it's a weather balloon? Is it
No, no, not with lights like that.
Because it doesn't fall like that either.
No, the only weather balloon we have is near Harlingen. It's 15,000 feet AGL. This thing's above our altitude. I just can't tell. That's why I asked you to hit the TCAS, just in case it was an airplane. Dude, it's pulsing, man. Look at that.
Sí, todas las decisiones están autorizadas cuando fusil prosiga directo justo para interceptar llegar a restos 1 alfa a la 2 a la 11. Será cuando que presión te dijo
Platillos.
I don't see anything on TCAS at all.
Yeah, man. And there's no strobe. I don't see a. And the fact that it dropped out of the sky like that and then stopped and hovered. He's probably just checking us out. I was going to turn on the light over there, but looks like he's turning away from us. That is phenomenal, man. Look at that. Yeah, they're all over Mexico, dude.
I wonder what you can do with that video. Like, if you can,
It's
I was like, shit, it just disappeared.
Where'd he go? Is he there? All right. Oh, it's the clouds.
It's in the clouds, yeah.
He's almost like he's over the weather or something.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, we're gonna lose him in the clouds. Son of a bitch. Well, there it is, right there, man, on my ND. There's our airplane, and there's no TCAS. There's weather about 40 miles off our left wingtip where this thing seems to have disappeared.
Yeah, I went both directions.
Yeah, there's no TCAS returns, man. It's not an airplane. It didn't have strobes or beacon or nothing. It's my first time. I'm so excited. I can say, yeah, I've seen a UFO. I got a video.
I've always asked.
Woo!
Come out the weather on the other side. I just casually looked over my shoulder and I'm like, oh man, he's still there. He's still there. Boom. I shut the light off again and I roll another video clip.
See, look at the shape. See it? As I zoom in, you'll get like a little bit of a teardrop.
Yeah.
So I'll film a smaller one and I'll send you that. Another one was 4 minutes long. That was in and out. This one will be, I'll give you a minute and then I'll sit.
Aircraft inbound from the south, but it's going to be up. Okay.
Wow.
Like strong.
Yeah, man, look at this. I'm going to zoom in some more. Hold on.
That's a good steady one. There's your minute.
All right. There you go. I want to send it to...
The radar directed to our left? Not really.
It's like he's going further away, man. Yeah, I'm zooming in and he's pulling away, dude. And he's turning colors too. He's pulling away. Yeah, that was weird. I'll do a 30-second one, all right? It's turning colors now. Are there any clouds over there? I didn't see any.